ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतान् शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनं श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Om. Dear friends, in the last class we had almost completed this 19th shloka of 7th adhyaya in the Gita Bhashya. 19th shloka of the 7th adhyaya. 19th shloka was saying Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabhaha. So the making of a jnani is over a period of time. Making of a jnani is not all of a sudden. It takes place over a period of time, over several janmas. So that was the meaning of that shloka. I explained that shloka, gave the word-to-word meaning, and we also read the bhashyam to a large extent. Only one last line is remaining. So the sum and substance of that shloka was that the human life is actually a sort of preparation for self-purification. The human life is not there basically to enjoy sensual pleasures. You do enjoy. Definitely you are not going to avoid all of them. But then you have to do it in a dharmic way. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So within the framework of dharma you have kama. Within the framework of dharma you have got artha. And then you have to go to the level of moksha. So that is the ultimate objective. The ultimate objective is self-purification and go to the level of self-realization. So that is the content of that shloka. And then what he said was, in that last bhashyam was saying was, a jnanavan is over a period of time, over a period of several janmas, because of this jnanartha samskararjana ashrayanam. So this life is a sort of ashraya, this is a sort of a tool or a sort of vehicle for earning this merit, this positive merit which will enable you to go to that level of self-realization. So life is a sort of vehicle, it is a sort of tool for self-purification. So that is what he was saying. Then at the end of all these things, in that charama janma, that word I said, charama janma is that last life where there is a fructification of what all the punyam he has, all the good deeds which he had done earlier, they will fructify, and then he will become a jnani. So that is the last janma. Thereafter there is no janma for him. So then that man, he has reached a stage where he realizes Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Vasudeva, that word also I was explaining. Vasati iti Vasuhu. Vasati means, that is Vasati Sarveshu Bhuteshu, that who indwells everybody. Divyate iti Devaha, one who illumines everybody. So the indweller and the illuminer, that Sat and Chit. Sat is that existence and consciousness, Chit is that consciousness. So the existence and intelligence, in other words, Sat and Chit, which is there in every being. Not only human being, it every animal, every insect and every non-living thing also. So that thing, that is Vasudeva Sarvam, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. He has attained that level of awareness. So that is what that line was saying. Let us read this last line. Katham Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Ya evam sarvatmanam mam prapadyate samahatma na tat samaha anyaha asti adhiko va ataha sudurlabhaha manushyanam sahasreshu ityuktam. So earlier it has been said, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschidyatat siddhaye. Among thousands and thousands of people, one person will try to attain that realization. And among thousands of people who try to make that attempt, among those thousands, again one single fellow attains it. So something like that was told. So ataha sudurlabhaha manushyanam sahasreshu ityuktam. Why? So he says Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Vasudeva Sarvamiti means, so he has attained that level of awareness where he sees this Brahman everywhere. He sees that Brahman awareness everywhere. He no longer sees the Jagat as, filled with so much of duality, he sees this Jagat as nothing other than Brahman. It is a manifestation of Brahman. So he has reached that stage. Ye evam sarvatmanam mam prapadyate, sarvatmanam mam. So one who realizes me as this Sarvatma and worships, one who realizes me as a Sarvatma and then worships me, Samahatma, that man is really a great person. Mahatma, na tat samaha anyaha adhikova asti. So there is nobody who equals him, there is nobody who surpasses him. There is no one who equals him, there is no one who surpasses him. Adhikova asti. Ataha, therefore, sudurlabhaha. It is very difficult to get such a man. So that is what Manushyanam Sahasresha, among thousands and thousands of people, it is very difficult to get such a person. So that is what was told earlier. So this is what is this shloka. Then Atmaiva Sarvam Vasudeva Ityevam Apratipattau Karanam Uchyate. So for this Apratipatti, Pratipatti means realization, Apratipatti is non-realization. For not realizing, Vasudeva Sarvamiti Ityevam Apratipattau. So the reason for non-realization that everything is Brahman. So not many people are realizing, or most of the people are not realizing that everything is Brahman. What is the reason for this non-realization? What is the reason for this Apratipatti? So that is what he is saying. Apratipattau Karanam Uchyate. The reason is being told. So let us read this shloka. Kamaistair hrutagnyanaha prapadyante nyadevataha tam niyamamasthaya prakrutya niyatasvaya. So we see in the world, we worship so many gods. We worship several gods in India. If you go to some other country, they also worship some other god. Some religions may say they only worship one god. If you go to some other more interior places like Africa, you may find many other forms of say deities. So there are so many forms of deities. If you see the history of religion, you will see that man has been worshipping so many types of deities. And this shloka gives a small psychological principle underlying all that. That psychological principle is like this. All these people who worship so many varieties of deities, so many varieties means leaving alone that supreme one. That is, this supreme deity called Brahma, Satyam, Jnana, Anantam is arrived at as a result of philosophical speculation. As if not speculation, contemplation, let us say. This Satyam, Jnana, Anantam Brahma, this awareness that Supreme Brahman is nothing but that consciousness, existence, consciousness and infinitude. We define Brahma, that Supreme Being, in that manner. And then he has nothing to do with this, creating and then supervising and then what is this, policing this world. He is not like a super cop who is sitting in heaven and then supervising all these things. So this sort of concept is something which is unique. This is something which is unique to the Upanishads. But then, though Upanishads are also from our own land, we still worship, we are also worshipping so many gods. Why are we worshipping so many gods? We worship so many gods, and so you go anywhere in the world, there are also several forms of worship. So all these things, why is it happening? The underlying principle is, we have got so many desires. And depending on the desires, and depending on our own mental constitution, depending on our own nature, whether what is the nature which is predominantly there in you, whether it is sattva guna, rajo guna or tamo guna, depending on the nature which is predominantly in you, you are trying to visualize one form of deity, one form of God. So that is what he is saying. Kamaihi taihi hrutagnyanaha. Kamais taistair hrutagnyana has to be split as kamaihi taihi. Taihi means by them. By them means a variety of them. A multitude of them. Multitude of what? Multitude of these kama, desires. By a multitude of kamas, then what is happening? Hruta jnana. Their jnanam has been hijacked. Hrutam means stolen. Their knowledge or thinking or discrimination or reasoning has been stolen away by so many by a multitude of desires, by the multitude of kamas which they have. So kamaihi taihi means by a multitude of, by a variety of. Hrutagnyanaha, whose jnanam has been hijacked or stolen, then what do? Prapadyante anya devataha. Prapadyante, they start worshipping all types of gods. Anya devataha, all types of gods. So in our philosophy, in our Siddhanta or doctrine, what is the role of, what is the status of a devata? We have one Supreme Brahman. And apart from Supreme Brahman, what is the status of all these gods, Indra, Varuna, all these deities, or these three murtis, this trinity as we call them, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, all these things, what is the status? The status of all these people is that they are just appearances in Maya. The first being, that Virat Purusha, that Hiranyagarbha, is the first appearance in that Maya. And that all these God forms, they are various functions of that Hiranyagarbha. So that is what is the, say, doctrine in Vedanta. Vedanta says, we have to remember, we have to always recall one point. That is, there is a Saguna aspect of worship, there is a Nirguna aspect of worship. Saguna means, you a man, okay, man means a human society. A human society has so many, say, a particular way of visualizing a God. Each society has a particular way of visualizing a God. So you say, okay, God is like this. So he is in this particular loka, in this particular type of heaven. So he will dispense justice in this particular manner. He will like this type of people. He will dislike this type of people. And then he will punish the wrongdoer, and he will he will reward the good person. So this is some type of structure which a human being usually expects from God, isn't it? So what we expect from God, what we expect from, say, a judicial person, say, let us say, we are projecting all these attributes onto the God. Human being actually projects the some attributes onto God. So this God is a Saguna God only. So in Saguna again there are two levels. In Saguna there can be a Sakara and Saguna. Sakara means that which is having a form, like Rama, Krishna, Indra and all these people. Then there can be a Nirakara. Nirakara means where there is no appearance, where there is no shape, a particular shape, but he is still having a function. It is not as though the God is not having a function. He is having certain functions, he has got certain attributes. If you particularly see the Western religions, they particularly say our God is a jealous God, our God likes only this particular tribe, our God wants to destroy the other tribe. So that is what they say. So at least in our system we don't say that. If you go to a Shiva Puranam does not say that Shiva will destroy Vishnu's worshippers. Or if you take Vishnu Purana never says that say Vishnu will destroy Shiva worshippers. Or if you take Devi Bhagavatam will never say that Devi will destroy Shiva's worshippers and Vishnu worshippers. We never say that. On the other hand, our Rishis have done a very beautiful arrangement by creating some sort of relationship between these people. They said Shakti is nothing but the wife of Shiva. And they said Shakti is nothing but the sister of Vishnu. And then Ganesha is nothing but the son of Shiva. So like that they have created certain bonds, certain familial bonds, and then they sorted out all the differences, and then they said, okay, a good say a citizen has to worship all these people. That is why we have created this Panchayatana system, where Adityam, Ambikam, Vishnum, Gananatham, Maheshwaram, all these deities we worship, and then whatever is your family tradition. Suppose in your family tradition you worship some, say, Vishnu form, or some Shiva form, or some Shakti form, you keep it in the center. Other things you keep it around, and then you worship it as the Supreme. So this has been our tradition. So what is the status of all these gods vis-a-vis the Supreme Brahman? Vis-a-vis the Supreme Brahman, who is a Nirguna, who has nothing to do with creation. And then this creation, whatever we talk about creation, is just an appearance. We have to always, Vedanta always distinguishes between appearance and reality. This Jagat, or this world, is an appearance in that Maya. Of course, this for a commoner, if you tell a total newcomer to Vedanta, he will never appreciate this point. If you say that Jagat is an appearance, this world is an appearance, somebody who is new to Vedanta can never appreciate. So, but then, okay, over a period of time, now that we have heard Vedanta for about more than a year, we are able to appreciate, at least understand that, appreciate that, okay, this Jagat is something which is an appearance in that supreme reality. and that supreme reality cannot be the creator or a super cop who is supervising all these things. So what all these God forms are appearances within that Hiranyagarbha. Whether you visualize a God with form or whether you visualize a God without form, but both these people are gods with some functions, with some attributes, who is having some duty to punish the wrongdoer, reward the good person. So these are all the things like that. So prapadyante anya devata, all these anya devatas, they come under that category. They are just appearances or manifestations within that Hiranyagarbha. In that, if you take that ocean of consciousness, if you visualize Brahman as that ocean of consciousness, these are certain small chunks of consciousness. Upahita Chaitanyam, this small chunk of consciousness is Indra, another chunk of consciousness is Varuna, another chunk of consciousness may be Ganesha. So something like that, you have to visualize all these forms. And another thing in these things is, the worshipper, he is not realized, he has not reached that level of maturity, that is, maturity to realize that there is something beyond all these things. There is something called Nirguna Brahma. He has not reached that level. He is only still in that Bheda Drushti only. I am a small fellow living on this earth, and then there is what is called a supreme being. I am different and God is different. So that Bheda Drushti, that feeling of duality, that idea of duality is very much there in the mind of this worshipper. So with that idea of duality, this man is worshipping. So these are the things which we have to remember. So prapadyante anya devataha, then tam niyamam asthaya. Tam means that, dvitiya vibhakti. That means whatever. That means whatever niyama, whatever ritual, whatever practice, whatever custom is there. Suppose a particular, school of, a particular thing, like for example, you worship some, Vishnu follower. In that thing, you have got a Vaishnava Agama. If you follow Shiva, there is a Shaiva Agama. Agama means that traditionally, this is the way of worship of Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu. You have to prepare this type of prasadam. You have to do this circumambulation pradakshina in certain manner. The temple has to be constructed in this particular fashion. So there are certain restrictions, there are certain regulations, there is a particular way in which that deity has been visualized. So all those rules and regulations will be there. You have to do this particular puja on a Ekadashi day, you have to do this particular puja on a Dwadashi day. All these things are niyamas, some small rules and regulations. So tam niyamam asthaya. Asthaya means having adopted. By following or having adopted all these rituals, by all these whatever rituals are there, then another point is prakrutya niyataha swaya. Prakrutya niyataha. That is, while choosing a god also, this fellow's his own nature comes into play. Prakrutya, by the Prakriti, by his own nature, Swaya Prakrutya, by one's own nature, Niyataha. Niyataha means guided. Guided by one's own nature, you are picking up a deity. So that is why Swami Tattvavidananda says beautifully, tell me your God and I will tell you what you are. There is an old saying, tell me your friends, I will tell you what you are. So similarly, he says, tell me your God and I will tell you what you are. So which means that we are projecting our own ideas on what we call God. So if you read a particular theology, if that theology says that God is liking this man and then God is disliking this man, it is not the God who is hating the other man, it is you who are hating the other man. If you say that God is going to punish this particular tribe, it is not the God who is wanting to punish that tribe, it is you who are willing to punish that particular tribe. So we have projected all our ideas onto God. So this is what is the picture here. So is this shloka clear? Yes, Kamaihi taihi taihi. Taihi taihi becomes taihi means various, by a multitude of kamas. Krutajnanaha. Prapadyante means they start worshipping. Then Anya Devataha, with that feeling of duality, they try to worship so many gods. Then tam niyamam asthaya, adopting whatever is the ritual or whatever is the practice in vogue for that particular form of deity. Then prakrutya niyataha, swaya prakrutya niyataha, that is guided by their own nature. Svaya niyataha, it is in plural, guided by their own nature, they do worship all these forms. So that is it. Let us read the Bhashyam. Kamaistaihi putra pashu swargadi vishayehi hrutagnyanaha apahruta viveka vijnanaha prapadyante anyadevataha prapnuvanti. Okay. So, kamaihi taihi taihi, that is multitude of kamas. Shankaracharya is giving certain examples. Putra, Pashu, Swarga, Adi, Vishayehi. Oh, I want so many children. In olden days, of course, Pashu Sampada, that is cattle wealth, was the one important wealth. So, Pashu Sampada, then Swarga, I have to attain heaven, I have to attain this particular loka or some other, say, type of celestial place. So, all these desires, like children and some celestial place and all these celestial pleasures, or with all these things, hrutagyanaha. So their idea, their sense of discrimination has been hijacked. Their sense of reasoning has been hijacked. So they are not able to visualize that Supreme Brahman. So they are settling themselves for a smaller deity. They are settling themselves for some small form. And then they say, okay, yeah, I will worship this particular god, I have to conquer this enemy. I will worship this particular god, he will give me some wealth. I will worship this particular god, he will give me something else. So with all these desires, you are settling for some smaller god. Apahruta viveka vijnanaha prapadyante anyadevataha prapnuvanti. They attain those particular god state, or whatever benefits or whatever boons those gods are going to give you, these people they attain. Then Vasudevad Atmanaha Anya Devatan Tam Niyamam Devataradhane Prasiddhaha Yo Niyamaha Tam Asthaya Ashritya Prakrutya Swabhavena Janmantararjita Samskara Visheshena Niyataha Niyamitaha Swaya Atmiyaya. Okay. So, Vasudevad Atmanaha Anya Devataha. Vasudevat, apart from Vasudeva. And who is this Vasudeva? Atmanaha, his own self. His own self is that Vasudeva. You are forgetting your own self, you are Vasudeva. That is that indwelling and then that illumining self which is there in everybody. Vasudevad Atmanaha Anya Devataha. That this word Atma, we have to specifically note. Vasudevad Anya Devataha, it is simple. Vasudevad Atmanaha Anya Devataha means that Vasudeva is nothing other than your own Atma. It is nothing other than your own self. Vasudevad Atmanaha Anya Devataha. You are following all types of deities. And then Tam Niyamam Devataradhane Prasiddhaha. So in every say school of say religion, in every school, in every cult, let us say, or in every branch of say worship, so you are following that particular niyama. Some Shaivagama, Vaishnavagama, Shaktagama. So different types of agamas are there. Agama is actually a derivative from Veda only. Agamas, the fundamental principles are there in the Vedas, and then following those fundamental ideas, say like what is a mantra, what is a Rushi, what is Bijam, what is Kilakam, how a mantra has to be used and all these things. So they develop certain agamas. So this is how a temple has to be built, this is how the worship has to be done, so for this puja you have to do this. So all types of things, various rituals are developed. Aradhane Prasiddhaha, and rituals are there in every religion, not only in Hinduism but in every religion. Rituals are there, not our own religion. You go to any religion, there are various types of rituals. Then tam yo niyamaha tam asthaya, that is whatever is the niyama or whatever is the ritual, whatever is the practice, having adopted those things, then prakrutya swabhavena, by their own nature. What is that nature? Janmantararjita samskara visheshena. So this samskara, this sort of predisposition which is there, it has come over a period of time. Janmantara arjita samskara. Samskara is a predisposition, that is what I have been explaining. You do a particular karma, that karma leaves some impression on you. And that sort of impression, over a period of time, all those impressions, they produce some sort of predisposition in your mind. They determine your behavior. You respond in a particular way in a particular situation. Even to a new situation, you respond depending on your samskara. If your samskara is very good, suppose you meet a man on the street, if your samskara is good, your behavior is in a particular way. If your samskara is bad, your behavior is in a different way. So like that. So this is Janmantararjita samskara is making you to adopt a particular type of deity. So that is it. So and say that is how you take up a particular god. In fact, in the 18th shloka, 17th shloka, Sattva, Rajas, Tamo gunas are being described. So there, 17th shloka, if you go to 4th shloka, what is this? Yajante Sattvika Devan. So Sattvika Janaha, the people who have this Sattva Pravrutti, they worship some Sattvika deities. Then those who have this Rajasa Pravrutti, those who want to dominate, those who want to achieve, they worship some say Rajasa type of devas. And those who have some say very ugly ideas like say killing other people and violence and all these people, they want to do some harm to others. So they worship all these Bhuta, Preta, Pishacha and all these things. Suppose I want to kill a fellow. So for killing a fellow, there is what is called a Abhicharika Prayogam. So they worship some Bhuta, Preta and all these things for say achieving those ends. So those are the Tamasa Janaha. So depending on the Prakriti, that is whether a person is endowed with a Sattvika Prakriti, whether a person is endowed with a Rajasa Prakriti or a Tamasa Prakriti, he will choose his particular form of worship. So that is what this is 17th Adhyaya, 4th Shloka. Yajante Sattvika Devan Yaksha Rakshamsi Rajasaha. This Rajoguna, people, all the people who have this predominance of Rajoguna, they will try to worship this Yakshas. Then Pretan Bhutagananscha Anye Yajante Tamasa Janaha. All these Tamasa people, they will worship all these Preta, Bhutaganas, so that they will have some quick results in vanquishing their enemies. So that is it. So that is this Prakriti is something which is the deciding factor here. Your own Prakriti is deciding as to which god or which deity you are following. So that is it. Then let us read this bhashyam we completed. Janmantararjita samskara visheshena niyataha niyamitaha swaya atmiyaya. That is influenced by their own samskara, by their own latent predispositions. So that is it. Tesham cha kaminam yo yah kami yam devatatanum. Okay, this we have to read the shloka first. Okay, let us read the next shloka. Yo yam tanum bhaktaha shraddhayarchitumicchati tasya achalam shraddham tameva vidadhamyaham. So this is a great shloka which one has to know by heart. That is this will tell you, and in fact this will explain as to why we are worshipping so many types of deities, why there is no conflict, how egalitarian Indian mind has been, how egalitarian, how that is accepting everybody, accepting every form of worshipping and opposing no form of worship. So this has been our basic tradition. That is that unity in diversity. That is, there is only one supreme thing called Brahman, and whatever deity or whatever god you worship is only a manifestation in that. So with that awareness, because of that awareness, we are having so many types of forms. So that is the meaning, that is the basic point here. So let us see the shloka. Yo yam tanum bhaktaha. Bhaktaha, the bhakta is a devotee. Yaha becomes yo. Yaha means he who. He who means whosoever. Yo is Jojo. Hindi mein Jojo. That is whosoever. Yam means that which. Yam is that which means whatsoever. Whosoever worships whatsoever form. So that is the meaning here. Whosoever worships whatsoever form, tanum, tanu means a form. Yo is whosoever, whatsoever, tanum is form, bhaktaha shraddhaya architum ichhati. Shraddhaya, with great devotion. We know this Shraddha. Shraddha is devotion. That is Guru Vedanta Vakyeshu Vishwasa Shraddha, that's a different thing. That is in the context of Vedanta, we heard that definition. But here, of course, we can, in a general way, we can apply that definition too. So Shraddha is basically devotion. Shraddhaya architum ichhati. He wants to worship that particular deity. Then tasya of that person, whatever is the desire of that person, tasya achalam shraddham, some achalam shraddha, that unshaken faith, unshaking, let us say, unshaking faith, tameva vidadhamyaham, I am sustaining that faith in the same deity. So you try to worship this particular God, the Supreme Brahman, okay, says yes, tathastu, that is so be it, so be it. So you worship in whatever manner you want. So that is all accepted. I confirm, I consent, I approve. Vidadhami means I actually sustain, I support, I say confirm it. So that is the meaning here. All those meanings are there in that. Vidadhami is I totally accept it. In whatever form you worship, I totally accept. In fact, in 4th Adhyaya also we saw one shloka. That is ye yatha mam prapadyante tans tathaiva bhajamyaham. Ye yatha mam prapadyante, that is 4th Adhyaya. If you go to 11th shloka, if you go to 4th Adhyaya 11th shloka, there is something similar shloka. Ye yatha mam prapadyante, that is the people come to me with various types of desires, and with whatever desire they come, I respond to them accordingly. Some people in distress, they come to me. I answer that thing, and then I remove their distress. Then somebody will come for wealth, I will give that. Somebody will come for jnana, I will give jnana. In fact, Shankaracharya also was mentioning the same thing. What is this? Yena prayojanena yat phalarthitaya maham prapadyante. That is, ye phalarthinaha tan phalapradanena. Those who want some result, some phalam, I will give them phalam. Ye jnanarthinaha, ye tu mumukshavaha tan jnanapradanena. One who is a mumukshu. Mumukshu is one who is desirous of moksha, one who is desirous of jnanam, knowledge. I will give him knowledge. If you want money, I will give money. If you want knowledge, I will give knowledge. So that is what he said in that 4th Adhyaya 11th shloka. Ye yatha mam prapadyante. So this is also something like that. This kama is stair vrtajnana, this is also like that. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha. There he said whatever desire, he said in whatever form you worship. Tanu also is a word which you have to note. Tanu, yam yam tanum. Tanu I said is form. What does it mean? Tanu actually it comes from a root tanu vistare. That is making it manifold. The meaning is to make it manifold. So what does it mean? There is only one essential principle which is appearing in a manifold manner. Tanu, the body, literally we also refer it to body. Tanu, the etymological meaning of the word tanu is vistare, to expand, to manifold, to make it in many forms. So for example, mantra is one form of worship, yantra is one form of worship. Then a small, for that upasana, you have some small devata murti in front of you and then do some meditation, that is one form of worship. You go to a temple, that is another form of worship. So all these things are various ways of manifolding the same single principle. Initially, in fact, people, according to Vedanta, the mantra, originally when the mantra was visualized by a Vedic Rishi, that mantra itself is something like a temple for the deity. That mantra itself is a temple. So it is like that. Then thereafter people started drawing some small drawings. So those drawings, they represent certain ideas. So those ideas, that becomes the temple. That is why we take that yantra and then we have that Ganesha yantra or some Sri Lakshmi yantra or Saraswati yantra and all these yantras we also have. So this mantra is a form of tanu. Vista tanu means body. That yantra is a type of body. That small, say, idol which you keep in front of you, that is a body. The big idol which is there in a temple, that is a type of body. So all these things are manifold ways. So that is Tanu Vistare, we have to see, which means that there is only one principle, and then one principle has been looked at or visualized in different fashions, in manifold ways. So that is it. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha shraddhaya architum ichchati tasya tasya achalam shraddham. And in that same way, I am confirming, I am sustaining that faith in that particular form of deity. So that is it. So if you see this thing, you see certain points in this shloka, or we'll see the bhashyam and then come to the points. Tesham cha kaminam yo yaha kami yam yam devata tanum shraddhaya sanyuktaha bhaktascha san अर्चितुं पूजयितुम् इच्छति तस्य तस्य कामिनः अचलां स्थिरां श्रद्धां तामेव विदधामि स्थिरीकरोमि यया एवं पूर्वं प्रवृत्तः स्वभावतः यो यो यां देवता तनुं श्रद्धया अर्चितुम् इच्छति इति. So tesham cha kaminam, of all those people who are having so many desires, tesham, of all those people who have so many desires, yo yah kami, whoever wants that kami, yam yam devatadanam bhaktaschasan architum ichchati, in whatever manner a particular person wants to worship a particular form of deity, tasya tasya kaminaha, to that particular kami, to that particular person who is having various desires, then achalam shraddham, sthiram shraddham, a firm faith, I am going to confirm, I am going to give in the, say, approve in the same manner. Tameva vidadhami sthiri karomi. Sthiri karomi means I am going to confirm it. I am going to sustain it. You want to worship a rock, I will confirm it. You want to worship in some other form, I will confirm it. You want to worship in the form of something else, I will confirm it. In whatever manner it is, all these things are visualizations in this supreme consciousness only. So that is why whatever it is, I will approve all these things. So that is what they say is mentioned by Lord Krishna here. So you can just see the implications of these 2-3 shlokas. What are the implications of these 3 shlokas? Usually in any religion, it is the religion which says, okay, I am giving you this particular definition of a God, you follow this particular definition and nothing else is valid, and then all other forms, they are all forms of, say, devil or whatever it is, they have to be condemned, they have to be thrown away. So that is what the religion says. But in our tradition, that is other religions say, but in our tradition doesn't say like that. Our tradition says, because it is a fusion of religion and philosophy, because our tradition has not been evolved by somebody who wanted to advocate a religion. Our tradition has been evolved by rishis who had no agenda, who had absolutely no agenda, who wanted to know what is the truth, and then having say written these Upanishads and all that, they cannot say you have to worship this particular form only. A rishi who visualizes a Upanishad, he will only say you visualize a deity in whatever form you want. So here it is a Vedanta which is giving this say very, very liberal attitude, which is showing such a liberal attitude regarding this form of worship. So that is another thing. And then another point, second point which we see is, a man has got a free will to choose any type of God. Any type of God. So that is why maybe in my family tradition, our ancestors have been worshipping one particular God. In your family tradition, you have another form, what is called Kola Devata, as we call it. So all these things, they are respected, nothing is shunned, nothing is condemned. So everything is accepted and everything is brought into the fold of this Upanishadic philosophy. Then this desire, all this selection of a God, it depends on your own innate nature. Your own innate, say Sattvika, Rajasa, Tamasa, Gunas. And it also depends on your own desires at a particular point of time. You have a particular desire for say wealth, So you do some Varalakshmi Vratam. You want to some pass some exam, you do some Saraswati Vratam. So all these things, they are all approved. Then this is something which is neither recommended nor condemned by Lord Krishna. This is something which is neither recommended nor condemned. This is one important point which we have to see, because the Upanishads are not recommending this Bahudevata Aradhana or worshipping several gods, nor is it condemning. Why is it allowing? Because it is allowing human nature. Because they wanted to harmonize. We have been talking about Shankaracharya, how he harmonized various traditions. During Shankaracharya's time, I was telling you in some earlier class, there were so many traditions in his time, at least some 50 to 60 forms and so many traditions. Somebody sitting on some skulls and worshipping God, somebody sitting on dead bodies and then doing some worship, doing some sadhana. So all types of sadhanas were there, some peculiar sadhanas were there. So Shankaracharya toured all over the country. He saw what were the dominant streams, what were the dominant schools of worship, and then he standardized 6 forms of worship. So that is why, and then he said he just disregarded, or he said all other forms of worship like sitting on skulls and doing aradhana. Then Vamachara. Vamachara means giving some liquor and then giving some mamsam and then cutting this animals and then cutting human beings. All these things, all these wild forms of worship, he said they are not according to Veda. They are not approved by the Veda. They are all Avaidic practices. They are not approved by the Veda. So he said these are not to be followed. So still, of course, if in some village somebody is doing some bali, we are not going to punish him. But anyway, that is not approved. He said this is approved by the Veda, this is not approved by the Veda. So this is the mainstream and this is called Vamachara. So that way he standardized, regularized and harmonized all those things. He did not go about saying, no, this is only one form and then you destroy all other people, kill all other people. That was not our approach. Our approach was to harmonize, and our approach was not to bulldoze and kill others. So that is why we have got so many forms of worship. Then another point which we have to see is, whatever is the Devata form, the Parabrahma Tattvam, the principle behind is only one. You worship Shiva, you are worshipping Supreme Brahman. You worship Vishnu, you are worshipping Supreme Brahman. You worship Ganesha, you are worshipping the same Supreme Brahman. So this is what we have to note here. So from this point of view, if you see, in our tradition, we can never be fundamentalists. This is another point we have to note. In our tradition, we can never be fundamentalists. Fundamentalism, what is fundamentalism? To say that my own way of worship is the rightful way and all other ways are wrong. And all other people, they have to fall in line with me, and either you are my friend or you are my enemy. If you are not my friend, you are my enemy. So that is the approach of a fundamentalist. We can never be fundamentalists because our philosophy is like this, our Vedanta is like this, our basic text, that is Bhagavad Gita, is like this. So we say, God and Lord himself is saying, in whatsoever form he worships, I approve all that. I sustain all that faith, and ultimately it is the Supreme Brahman who is going to give result through these various forms. You may be worshipping various forms. It is the Supreme Brahman which is giving results through these different forms. So that he is going to say in the next shloka. So is this clear? Yes. So let us read this next shloka. Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktaha. Is there any avatarika? No avatarika. Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktaha. Tasya Radhanamihate. Labhate hi tatah kaman. Mayaiva vihitan hitan. Labhate cha tatah kaman. Mayaiva vihitan hitan. Okay, so that particular person, Sataya Shraddhaya. So in the earlier shloka we have seen yo, whosoever. So here this Sa is referring to that whosoever. Sa means that particular person who has chosen a particular form, and then who has chosen a particular mode of worship, and then who has done that worship. So taya shraddhaya yuktaha, and I have approved that shraddha, I have endorsed, let us say, yeah, that endorsed is a better word. I have endorsed that particular form of shraddha, and along with that particular shraddha, tasyaha devatayaha radhanam ihate. Tasya means tasyaha devatayaha, of that god, radhanam. Radhanam means worship. You know the word aradhana? Aradhana. A is only an upasarga. A is a prefix for that word radhanam. Radhayati means pujayati. Radhanam is pujanam. So that we have to see these prefixes and suffixes. A is only a prefix. A means samantat. Samantat means all over. So aradhana means so totally worshipping. You are fully involved in worshipping. So that is aradhana. A samantat, fully. So radhanam is aradhanam. Ihate means desires. So one who desires to worship any form with that particular shraddha which has already been endorsed by me, then labhatecha tatah kaman. Tataha means from that particular form. From that particular form only, he kaman labhate. He attains whatever desires he wants. Labhatecha tatah kaman. You worship this as a particular form of deity with some desire, and then you will get that thing in whatever form. Then who gives all these things? That is in the last line he says, Mayaiva vihitan hi tan. Mayaiva vihitan. They are all given by me only. Me means it does not refer to Lord Krishna, it is referring to the Supreme Brahman. Mayaiva vihitan. They are all vihitan. Maya vihitan means they are all dispensed by me only. They are all given by me only. Vihitan, he means yasmat, because they are all given by me only. So this again explains the structure. We have to visualize that whole structure where whatever saguna form which we visualize is only a manifestation in that Maya level. These two levels we should not forget. This is Saguna level and Nirguna level. That is God with certain attributes. Attributes means some functions like policing the world, being a super cop of the world. So that is the function, isn't it? Basically that is one common feature in any religion. So this is only a manifestation. This is only a visualization in that level called Maya. And then the Supreme Brahman, as we have seen, we have discussed several times earlier, Supreme Brahman has nothing to do. He has no direct kartrutva nor bhoktrutva, because that Supreme Brahman is only of the nature of consciousness and existence and infinitude. So that has no direct involvement either in your worship or in your creation or anything. But then whatever Hiranyagarbha, that Maya is manifesting in it, so that it is having some type of divine design. So according to that divine design only, all these lower deities, they give you whatever result you want. So that is the meaning here. Then is the shloka clear? Sa taya shraddhaya yuktaha. Tasyaha means here tasya is of that god. Tasyaha devatayaha radhanam prarthanam ihate, they do desire. Tataha, from that God form only, labhate means attain, kaman, all the desires, mayaiva vihitan, all those things which have been dispensed by me only. That is it. Then let us read this thing. Sa taya mad vihitaya shraddhaya yuktasan tasyaha devata tanvaha radhanam ihate cheshtate labhate cha tataha tasyaha aradhitayaha devata tanvaha kaman ipsitataman mayaiva parameshwarena sarvajnena karma phala vibhaganyataya vihitan vibhaganyataya vihitan nirmitan stan hi yasmat te bhagavata vihitaha kamaha tasmat tan avasyam labhate ityarthaha. So it is a fairly in one long sentence he has completed it. Sa taya shraddhaya, that shraddha, mad vihitaya, that which has been endorsed by me. This endorsed appears to be a more correct word, because it is something not prescribed by him. It is something which is endorsed, which is approved, which is just sustained. You are following a particular type of worship. So I am endorsing it, I am approving it, I am sustaining it. So objection, something like objection sustained, what we say in court. So it is something like that. So madvihitaya shraddhaya yuktas san tasyaha devata tanvaha. Of that devata form. Tanvaha means of the form. Tanu shabda. Like the dhenu shabda. Dhenvaha dhenvoho dhenunam. You know that dhenu shabda? Ukaranta srilingaha dhenu shabdaha. Dhenvaha. You don't know the dhenu shabda? You have not done shabda manjari. Okay. Then dhenu shabda, for that dhenu is a female, that is feminine word. For that, dhenvaha, dhenvoho, dhenunam, that is the Shashti Vibhakti. So like that, tanu, tanvaha, tanvoho, tanunam. So that is the Shashti Vibhakti. Devata, tanvaha means of that devata body. Body, as I said, tanu is vistare. It is only a manifolding. The basic principle is one. From that principle, you take it out in different forms. Like a manifolding paper, you have taken out in so many manifold ways. Devata, tanvaha. Radhanam, worship, ihate, cheshtate, labhate cha. So he does that puja, cheshtate, he acts, cheshtate means he acts, labhate cha, and also he attains the fruit, labhate cha, tataha, tasyaha aradhitayaha devata tanvaha. From that devata body which he has worshipped, from that body of the deity which he has worshipped, he obtains the result. Labhate cha means he also attains the result. Then, kaman ipsita taman, all those ipsita taman, whatever desires which he wanted, whatever things he wanted, he obtains. Then, who is the dispenser of all these things? Mayaiva parameshwarena sarvajnena karma phala vibhagagnataya vihitan. So, I am that supreme being who is aware of what is being given. So, for example, a deity, a Rakshasa is there, he worships some Brahma. He worships Brahma, and then he wants a boon that he should be invincible by anybody in the world. Nobody should be able to kill me, and I have to be the lord of all these gods and all these people. So he wants somebody like Ravana, he does some great tapas, and then he wants some boons. So what is this poor Brahma, what can he do? He will say, okay, I am giving to you. So that is the supreme desire. Because this fellow has done some tapas, and then according to the tapas, according to the desire, his desire has to be fulfilled. And then in that whole cosmos, who is the person who has actually given it? Is that supreme Brahman only. The design is it's within the framework of that Brahman only. Whatever design of punya and papa, whatever design of tapas and boon, all this thing is within the framework of that Brahma only. So that is why that whoever is giving that boons, he is also operating within that framework of Supreme Brahman. So isn't it? So mayaiva vihitan. So that is why he says mayaiva vihitan tasma what is it? Sarvajnena karma phala vibhagagnataya vihitan. I am this Sarvajna. Sarvasya ayam gnasya. It is Sarvajna. That is the all-pervading consciousness, all-pervading awareness. Karma phala vibhagagnataya. I am the person who knows this karma phala vibhaga. What is the karma and what should be the phalam? So karma phala vibhaga is something which is there as per a divine scheme. So the divine scheme is having my approval. It is having my endorsement. So with that, Vihitan means Nirmitan. Those who have been designed like that. Vihitan, Nirmitan, they have been designed like that. He, Yasmat, Te Bhagavata Vihitaha, they are all designed by me only. Kamaha Tasmat Tan Avashyam Labhate. Because they have all been designed by me. There is a cosmic order, there is a cosmic design. According to that design, he gets the result. Then, this last line, if you see, Mayaiva Vihitan Hi Tan. So it can be split in two ways. Mayaiva Vihitan Hi Tan. Tan means those. He is Yasmat. Suppose if you split in a different way, Mayaiva Vihitan Hitan. You add it with the Tan. Hitan means that which is Hitam. That which is desired by that man. that which is desired by that man. If you split like that, what can be the meaning? He says, hitan iti padachede,
hitan iti padachede,
hitatvam
hitatvam
kamanam upacharitam kalpyam,
kamanam upacharitam kalpyam,
nahi kamaha hitaha kasyachit.
nahi kamaha hitaha kasyachit.
Probably some commentators might have split the word like that. Kaman mayaiva vihitan hitan. Hitan means though hitam. What is hitam? That which is auspicious for you, that which does some good for you. Suppose a Rakshasa does some tapas and then he seeks some boons. That is definitely not in his hitam. It is definitely not in his hitam. So that is what Shankaracharya is saying. Hitan iti padachede means if you split that word in that particular manner, if you split like that, hitatvam kamanam upacharitam kalpyam. Then for these kamas there cannot be hitatvam. All these desires, there cannot be good for a human being. You want moksha, you want some swarga, you want some more wealth, you want this, you want that. All these desires, they are not in your health. It is something like eating all types of good foods and ruining your health. So these are not good for his spiritual attainment. These are not good from the point of view of realization, self-realization. They are definitely not in his interest, let us say. All these desires are not definitely in his interest. So why is that word used? You have to use it in a rather secondary sense. Aupacharika prayogam. We know aupacharika prayogam. Aupacharika prayogam is that is not the main way, that is not the main meaning. In a rather secondary sense that is used. Hitan. So in a rather, not even metaphorical, in a rather secondary way, in a rather laudatory manner. Okay, you have taken this boon, it is good for you, something like that. But definitely kamas can never be hitas. Nahi kamaha hitaha kasyachit. For anyone, these kamas can never be hitas because you are desiring something and then those desires definitely are not in the interest of a human being. So that is what he says. So in this shloka we also see we have to see these points. That is, Shraddha is one basic connecting link. With that Shraddha, even a Rakshasa, even a demon can do some tapas and then he can attain some result. And that result is given ultimately as per the design of that Supreme Being only. So that is the number one point. Then this result is according to a cosmic design, and all these God forms, they come under that cosmic design only. Then the boons, who is the actual dispenser of all these things? All these are within that Brahman consciousness, within the framework of that Maya. So these are the points which we have to see in this particular shloka. Is the time over? The time is over? 2 more minutes. Then we need not take up another shloka, because another shloka we will take some time. So this second shloka, is it very clear? Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha. So in fact I forgot to tell one shloka from one Upanishad. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha. Why we are worshipping so many gods and where is the need to visualize in that manner? There is an Upanishad called Rama Tapaniya Upanishad. In that Rama Tapaniya Upanishad, there is a beautiful mantra, a beautiful line which says, Chinmayasya advitiyasya nishkalasya asharirinaha upasakanam siddhyartham brahmano rupa kalpana. For this Brahman which is not having any rupa or name, nama or any rupa, you are visualizing, you are giving a particular name, you are giving a particular form. And that Brahman, what is the real nature? Chinmayasya, Chit. Chinmaya is that which is of the nature of intelligence or awareness. Advitiyasya, Advitiya is that which is non-dual. Chinmayasya, Advitiyasya, Nishkalasya. Kala means a part, avayava, limbs. So a God with limbs can be called somebody who is a creator. God with some limbs or avayavas only can be a creator. Pure consciousness, pure existence, that cannot be the creator. So this Advayasya Asharirinaha, one which has no body, then Upasakanam Siddhyartham Brahmano Rupa Kalpana. In order to facilitate the Upasakas, in order to facilitate that upasakas who are doing some upasana and attaining some sort of kamas. And upasaka, the initial stage is he will be desirous of achieving some kamas. The second level, once the upasaka matures, he will go to the level of that nirguna brahma. Initially, the upasaka starts with some desires, and then after maturity in that upasana, he will go to the level of nirguna brahma. He will understand what is the real Brahman. So, upasakanam karyarth siddhyartham brahmano rupa kalpana. This is a very important shloka which we have to remember. Chinmayasya advitiyasya nishkalasya asharirinaha upasakanam siddhyartham brahmano rupa kalpana. We will stop here. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.